Um, May 9th, 1997, my son's wife went out to get a pizza, and she came home and she found him shot laying on the floor, and she called the police and said he committed suicide. So they took him to the hospital, and they realized that it wasn't a suicide because he was left-handed and the gunshot was close range to the right side of the head and there was no gun. So they took him to the hospital, and he was on life support throughout the night, and the doctor kept coming back and telling us that his brain function was going down. And finally they said there wasn't any brain function left. And I looked at him and I was rubbing his head. He had this little tiny bullet hole right here, and I'm thinking, how can this little hole do this much damage? And I was holding his hand and rubbing his head, and I said, Nick, tomorrow's Mother's Day, you got to wake up. He had given me a check for $10,000 a few years back, and I said to him, Nick, this check's for $10,000, and he said, it's dated for years ahead. He said, by the time that this check is dated, it's going to be good because I'm going to be a professional baseball player. And I said to him, Nick, you got to wake up. I want my check, you know. And just then I saw a tear roll down his eye, and he took this deep breath, and I think that's just when he passed. And we've never been able to solve it. The records for the pizza shop weren't retrieved. They had asked for them for the wrong day because they were trying to see who picked up the pizza. There was a pizza at the house.
So tell me about Nick. I know this is hard, but you know, it's just, who was Nick? Why is this so important? You know,
Nick was a young kid himself. He was 18 when he was shot. He had a child. At the time that Nick died, his child was 15 months old. He didn't even have a chance to grow up himself, and he was struggling. He was working at a body shop that his father owned, and he had had a job interview for Schwabel's Bakery. It was going to be that following Monday before he passed away, and he was hoping to get a good job so that he could support his son, and he never graduated from high school. And he realized once he had his own child that he had to change his ways and grow up. He was a fun-loving kid. He loved to joke. He loved to laugh. He loved family. He loved baseball. He lived and breathed baseball. He could tell you any baseball stat you wanted to know, but if you would ask him how much 1 + 1 was, he'd say, I don't know. He was just really, really into it. He was a good kid, a little hard-headed, but just a really good kid, and he was just so young. It was so senseless. They never recovered the gun. They never really had any. They had one suspect that was a person that was very close to him that was questioned, but there was really never enough evidence to do anything about it. There was a lie detector test taken that this person failed, but you can't use that in court. There were some witnesses that heard the ambulance come on his street, but nobody saw or heard anything. So I've spent the last 20 years, and I'll never give up. People say, you know, oh, to find out will bring you closure. Well, I hate that word because the only closure I have is the fact that I'll never see my son again. It's not closure I'm looking for, it's who did this to him.